The land, Afghanistan. The war, the so-called Taliban insurgency. The U.S. Congress last spring approved an additional $40 billion for military operations, bringing the total war bill since the overthrow of the Taliban to over $300 billion. What has the U.S. gotten for its money? This year, the violence hit an all-time high. It has been the deadliest for both U.S. soldiers and Afghan civilians alike. This is in contrast to the relative peace prior to 2005, when car bombs and suicide attacks were virtually unheard of. After being soundly defeated after 9/11, the Taliban presence in the countryside is strong and on the rise.
I will make it quick. I have a huge favor to ask you.
The Taliban is unpopular, but few outside the country know that it pays a wage to fighters who can find no other jobs.
I'm trying. Can you hear me now?
8 full years after NATO's presence began, unemployment remains at 40%, and poverty is wretched. We went to interview Afghans about unemployment. Numerous sources, including high-ranking U.S. military officers and Afghan government ministers, put unemployment at the heart of the renewed insurgency.
I was wondering if Joanne or yourself would be able to make it instead of me.
My Afghan colleague is on the phone with his employer to get the okay to extend his stay. We found the unemployed in legions in Kabul's city squares. We found men of every age waiting for work of any kind. The option of applying for work is non-existent.
Yeah, I will.
There is no place to apply.
Thank you very much.
Waiting in one of the squares for work is one's best chance, but not a good one.
I already asked them to book my flight, ticket, stay there, hotel and everything. So everything is in the mind. But except for the ticket, flight ticket, that's what I need.
Yeah?
The flight ticket is not non-transfer. You probably have to cancel it and then get it.
Right.
The UN estimates that 35% of Afghans are malnourished. 1 out of 5 children dies before the age of 5. In January of 2008, the 5-star Serena Hotel in Kabul was hit by the Taliban, killing 8 people. The attack signaled a major escalation of Taliban attacks on civilian targets. Attacks of all kinds had grown in number throughout 2005 and 2006. This was the first time a popular meeting and living quarters for the expatriate community had been subjected to major assault. What is the connection between unemployment and the insurgency? Why, 8 years after the NATO presence began, does the country remain mired in poverty. This is the National Stadium, where during the Taliban's reign, public executions and mutilations took place. The gory spectacle served as both reinforcement of rule by fear and Friday night entertainment. According to a poll by ABC News, nearly 90% of the Afghan population in 2006 approved of the overthrow of the Taliban. Since that year, the popularity of the American presence has steadily declined.
I learned how different the country
This is the
from each
voice of
village to
Gaith
another
Abdul
village. You
Ahad,
have a different
reporter for the
dynamic.
UK
From your
Guardian.
experience, do you get a sense of how the Afghans feel about the Taliban currently?
Well, here is the thing. It's not that most of the Afghans I met were supporting the Taliban, but almost every single Afghan I met was so disappointed with both the Karzai government and with the NATO and American forces. And again, every single Afghan I met in 2001 was so happy to get rid of the Taliban and get a new prospect, a new future and everything. But then what's been happening of poverty, corruption, poverty in Afghanistan is stunning. It's the 19th century. Yeah.
A report written by Oxfam in 2008 revealed that up to 40% of non-military aid to Afghanistan went to corporate profits for foreign contractors like DynCorp and the Louis Berger Group. Unskilled labor is often imported from countries like India or Turkey rather than hiring Afghans.
اینا رم خیرات جمع کنیم پیسه دار چیست؟
خیرات جمع نکنیم گفتم برو بولانی بخر بیار بفروش
اونی کاکا داره بسیار داره مگه نداره
بیسی میده یک دی بس بتشه
اونی کاکا
اونم کاکا میگم یک دی
اونی دارم اونی
چی داری؟
فلسیا دارم
بده خیرات داره پا بده
نه 565 برو
They had change?
Yeah.
We went to the places where vast numbers of unemployed men gather in the morning, hoping to be chosen for a day's work, evoking scenes of America's Great Depression. The going wage for unskilled labor is about $4 a day. The work could be in construction, hauling or clearing, painting, or any menial job. Though signs abound of the Afghan entrepreneurial spirit, the need for work and the daily struggle for survival is overwhelming.
Called Sada Chowk. This is in the capital Kabul. We are in the middle of the city. People all around us. This is one of the areas where the unemployed people come in the morning and they're looking for jobs here. I'll give them a brief intro of who we are and then I'll ask them a couple of questions. Salam alaikum brother. خوب هستین؟ سلام خوب است. روزمزدور هستین کلتون؟ ما به در امروی کدام مؤسسه دولت کسی نیستیم. فقط خبرنگار هستیم. آمدیم میخوایم از مردم پرسان کنیم که بیکاری چی رقم موضوع اینجا؟ چقدر مردم بیکار است؟ چند ناید میگیرن روزانه؟ چقدر کار پیدا میکنین نمیکنین؟ و مشکلات روزانه‌تون چی رقم است؟ تقریبا میفهمید چند نفر اینجا استاد هستن؟ روزانه چند نفر میاد؟
اینجا تقریبا 1000 نفر است.
تا 1000 نفر اینجا میاد تقریبا. On a daily basis, about 1,000 to 1,500 people gather here looking for jobs. Basically, people pick us up, they take us to their homes, any housework. It might be just building their terrace. It might be some work to do around their own house.
دیگه دوامدار کار کنه دوامدار کار نکنه فلو برق به تو فلو گاز به تو فلو آب به تو دیگه وام نمیشه دیگه
With one person wage, you can't feed the whole family. It is very difficult. But you can still barely feed a family. You can buy some potatoes, you can buy some onions, and you can make basic food and pay your bills and so on. تشکر بسیار زیاد برای زنده باشید. زنده باشید. تشکر.
تشکر
متوجه نداره که کارگر
Oh, we have another cameraman?
Yeah.
There he is. When is the last time you got work from here?
روز چند دفعه میایین و چه وقت مثلا کار پیدا میشه؟
یک روز کار است در روز کار نیست هفته یک روز دو روز اگر در کار
If you're lucky enough, you get a job once or twice a week. روز مزدوری چند میده؟
روز مزدوری 200
They get paid 200 rupees, which is $4 a day. On average, we get 2 to 3 days a week job. And in terms of rate, the range is anywhere from 50 rupees, which is $1, to 300 rupees, which is $6. If you're lucky enough, they give us lunch. They don't always. In terms of hours, they can start anytime from now until 4 p.m., which will be like 8 hours, or even 8 p.m., which will be 12 hours, again for the same price range.
نه صدیش چی کنم وانا بعد تازه میرید نامتا میگیره 60 میگیره خراب الهی باشید نظارت خانه را اید میکنه چوب باشی ایران میمونی.
So these two guys were saying that he has been here for the last 10 days and no job. Another guy has been here for 12 days and he's got work only for 2 days. کدام دفعه میگه شده که دولت یا کدام مؤسسه یا کم کسی با کدام نوع کمک کرده باشه یا چیزی گفته باشه؟
مؤسسه کارای نامده.
Firm and constant, no. There is no help.
مگر روز یکونی ساعت 2 ساعت 3 ساعت پیدا میکنم
Saying the same thing, that I make on average 150, 200 rupees a day, $3 to $4 a day.
یک کسی را آوردیم که امروز طبقه سرمایه‌دار روز تا روز رشد کنه میره ما در خاک پایمال هستیم به یک کرومانان به یک نان قاق یعنی قصه احتیاج هستیم نان از کافروشی میگیریم میخوریم احتیاج فقیری در بدر هستیم باید مردم افغانستان علیه سردارمدارای چی قیام کنه این که حکومت از بین ببره که حکومت منظم خدمتگار وطن دوستداری همه ملت خود باشه نه که مثلا 4 تا سرمایه‌دار میره رشد میکنه ما را دیروز پریروز یک نفر سرمایه‌دار سری کار برده لد کوبی ما را کرده میکشیم مگه کی باز خواستید میکنه.
When there was communism, at least they cared about the people. They cared about the people at the bottom of the society. Now we have a society where rich people get richer on a daily basis and poor people get poorer on a daily basis. I was taken up by a couple of people last time. I was beaten up by them and they would say, who's going to ask about you? Who's going to care about you? We got rid of the communist society hoping for something better, but every other day is worse than the previous.
همین کراچار زنده زنده چپا میکنه چپا کنین او ظالم توی کار برش پیدا کن
All we get from the government is beat up. All we get from the authorities is a beat up around our head. Why? Because we are blocking the road, because we are blocking the pathway, we are here and there, we are not supposed to be here, we are not supposed to be there. People come with ideas from outside, they come from the Western world and they want to make Kabul a Western country. But we don't have any factories, we don't have any places where people could work, where people could get jobs. There are no permanent sources of employment for people who are not skilled like us. Thank you.
Yes.
بای دستای خالی سیالی به سیالی بای دستای خالی سیالی به سیالی نه قولی نه قراری نه پارک زرنگاری نه پارک زرنگاری نه باغ و کوچه باغی نه میلی نه دماغی نه باغ و کوچه باغی نه میلی نه دماغی بای ملکای مردم تبسم به تبسم بای دستای خالی سیالی به سیالی اگر چشم و چراغ خانه هستی با ملک دیگران بیگانه هستی کسی مهری تو را در دل ندارد کسی نامی تو را بر لب نیارد کسی دستی تو را نمی فشارد و شهر بی محبت رفاقت به رفاقت و شهر بی محبت رفاقت به رفاقت بای ملکای مردم تبسم به تبسم بای دستای خالی سیالی به سیالی
This is the war President-elect Barack Obama is inheriting in Afghanistan. An insurgency that's stronger than ever and creeping ever closer to the Afghan capital. In this video obtained by CBS News, a U.S. convoy is attacked less than 20 miles from Kabul.
I think in Afghanistan we really dropped the ball for a long time.
It's now widely agreed America's new president needs a new approach. Obama's emerging strategy appears to shift focus to a regional solution. In this exclusive video from Pakistan's tribal areas, young Pakistani boys are indoctrinated as suicide bombers. The teenage boy you see here is about to blow himself up. When his car pulls alongside a U.S. Humvee, it explodes in a massive fire. The boy's mentors erupting in victory cries as they film the suicide.
Regional solutions, embodied in the policy referred to by policymakers as AfPak, almost always overlook the predicament of ordinary Afghans and the important role they could play in maintaining stability. Not Arabic in culture, not Hindu nor Sikh, they maintain a proud identity which is uniquely Afghan.
In the first couple of years of our occupation of Afghanistan, suicide terrorism hardly existed in Afghanistan. And then suddenly, in 2006, there were 92 completed suicide attacks in Afghanistan. In 2007, over 140. 2008, over 130.
It was 1947, 2 years after the guns fell silent.
There is precedent in history for economic assistance providing stability. In Europe after World War II, much of the continent lay in ruins and poverty was at dangerous proportions.
Dr. is a historian at the George C. Marshall Foundation.
The prime motivation for launching the Marshall Plan was fear of chaos in Western Europe, but also the strength of the Communist Party in countries like France and Italy was very worrisome.
There was massive unemployment. Europe's industry was at a standstill.
Who were anyhow perceived in a better way than the Russians from the very outset, even during the end of the war, now were seen no longer as primarily as occupiers, but as friends.
In 2007, commander of U.S. forces in Afghanistan, General Carl Eikenberry, told Congress, "Much of the enemy force is drawn from the ranks of unemployed men looking for wages to support their families." One solution to deprive the Taliban of recruits is job creation. The Taliban has ironically become the employer of last resort. At about $8 a day, the money is good, even if the work is dangerous. In the spring of 2009, a Korangal Valley elder told Time magazine, "The Taliban aren't fighting for religion but for money. If they had jobs, they would stop fighting." Salam.
So the basic idea is to basically dig this as a drainage for water drainage for the rain system. So the rainwater goes there instead of muddling this place. And this place would they would just put gravel.
Well, how much? How do they get paid, and how much do they get paid? Salam alaikum.
نه کار از بسیار منظم است.
نه کارا
یک کارتش است. مثلا 6 روز کار کرده غیر حاضری داره.
So this basically says who they are, their name, last name, and so on. Everybody has a serial number, and there are people's signature all around it to make sure everything works well.
نمونه حاضری پیش کیست.
And this basically says in each week, week 1, 2, 3, 4 until week 9, how many days they have worked, and if they get paid, then they get sponged.
ورتقی که 2 نفر لري نه 8 نفر لري.
نه 8 نفر لرو 15 زنانه دي د وباسه دې کوي او پاشي کوي او نور راځي. تر دې چې په هکې 8 نفر راځي. 15 کډي دي 15 د نور راځي. 3 دیرس نه.
مصروف شده و مانده میشن همون شب هم که بیرن یه دمی از یارو شون.
Well, this is a good way to keep them, number 1, busy, number 2, give them job, and number 3, keep them tired at night.
با یک آدمی که شکمش سیر بود یک آدمی که شکمش سیر بود او باز پشت تخریب و چیزا نمیکرد.
And somebody who has a full stomach would not think about destruction or ruining somebody else's life.
There is no shortage of work to be done. These are open sewers in Kabul. There are hundreds of miles of them, which could alone employ many thousands of workers to repair and replace. The desperation in Afghanistan can be haunting. This little girl in Kandahar is one of many reported cases of starvation.
If the patient doesn't have money, we help them. Some doctors.
And where do you get the money to buy them as a medicine?
From ourselves.
Proponents of a countrywide jobs initiative say that it would cost but a fraction of the yearly cost of military operations, less than 10%. Given the enormous cost of continued warfare, they say this is simply a smart investment. All foreigners who have come here with guns in their hands have quickly learned why this land of mountain warriors is known as the graveyard of empires. And Afghans have rarely known a foreign power which has come here with anything but guns. Is it too late? The stakes are high. Whatever the course taken by the Obama administration, it must happen soon. Secretary of State George Marshall, in unveiling the Marshall Plan in 1947, said, "The patient is sinking while the doctors deliberate.
د بلال خوږه اذانا د ملال یا قربانا د بلال خوږه اذانا د ملال یا قربانا زما مینه زما زانا خایسته افغانستانا زما مینه زما زانا خایسته افغانستانا د بلال خوږه اذانا